Hello everyone and welcome back guys to episode 14 of my F1 2017 McLaren Honda Career Mode guys. And I've been getting a lot of requests from you, to make more episodes from this series. So today I thought, that would be what I decided to do. Here we are though, round 14 of the season and we're at the Singapore Grand Prix. Probably, we go from two of my favourite tracks in Spa and Monza to one of my most hated circuits on the calendar. It's a long race. It's a very tricky race, and in a car like this, you're probably going to struggle because it's very easy to make overtakes down the straights, and then not very easy to make overtakes in the corners, which is really where this car shines. But I actually had, just before moving on into this race, a career invitational. It was the one in the Ferrari F2002 at Japan, which gave me 750 R&D bonus points there, which is very, very useful. I actually didn't realise how many bonus points you got, so I probably would have accepted some of the earlier ones that came around in this season, but that's going to leave me with just over 1,300 R&D points there, which definitely means, it's time to get another upgrade on the car. It's not very often we do say that in this series, and I'm going to really have to think about what part, I do want to put on the car. Do I go with one of the options that makes all the other parts cheaper, or do, I try and go for a bit more reliability on the part, or do I just go, try and actually give this car somewhat, a little extra power? You can just see there on the graphic how far behind the rest of the teams this car still is. And I was really thinking quite, I was actually trying to think quite strategically as to what upgrade, I would put on the car. But in the end, I did actually opt to go for a proper part. I went with the fuel injection system efficiency, and that should give me a tiny bit, extra boost in terms of overall consistency during the race there, which, nice and useful there. So let's move on then into free practice for this Singapore Grand Prix. And you can see we're still using our absolutely wrecked engine, the ICE there, well over 90%. I'm going to be interested to see when it does fully blow up, to be honest. But we get 50 R&D points on the track acclimatization, just miss out on the fuel saving run there. A little bit gutted that we did just miss out on that. But by the end of the session, we got, another 117 R&D points there, take me back over, 560, which, quite ideal. But let's move on then into qualifying for the Singapore Grand Prix. Going to be very interesting to see where we do come overall in this session. Going to be, it's a track that on paper should suit this car, but as we saw last week at Italy, that track really shouldn't, and it sort of did. But coming through the final corner of my qualifying run, you can see it coming out of the corner. We're going to go up into P3. Overall, they're only a second behind Danny Kvyat there, and unfortunately that was the quickest run I was able to get during that qualifying session, which left me P14 on the grid there. Not too bad, qualifying position. Stoffel all the way down in at P20 there. Certainly not the qualifying session he would have wanted there, but yeah, P14 on the grid, ready for the Singapore Grand Prix. A lot stronger than I was expecting, but let's move on then into the race.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Perez, Ocon, Kvyat, Sainz, and Felipe Massa, Grosjean, and a McLaren, Lance Stroll, and Raikkonen, Palmer, Wehrlein, Kevin Magnussen, and Marcus Ericsson. Van Dorn and Nico Hulkenberg completes the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So actually a couple of drivers there with grid penalties, which does actually mean I start up in P12 for the start of this race. So just outside the points there. I think points will definitely be the aim in at this race. But we're going to try and go for a bit of an alternate strategy here. We're going to try and go for the softs off at the start and then try and, one-stop this race. I think the game, sort of felt that a two-stop was the better strategy there, a 2 or a 3-stop, but I'm going to try and go for the one-stop OP. But here we are then on the grid, ready for the Singapore Grand Prix. It is 5 lights and it's lights out, and away we go. And once again, not off to the best start in the world, getting quite a bit of wheel spin there. We're going to have Lance Stroll, and I think that's Kimi Raikkonen trying to look down the inside in towards turn 1. They're just trying, find my own piece of track. They're 3 wide up ahead of me there, the Williams of Massa and both Toro Rossos there, and it's just a wall of Formula 1 car ahead of me there. As we just try and fight for my own free space on this circuit. Danny Kvyat brakes very early in through turn 3 there, and that is not what I needed there. That's already a bit of damage front wing, and that certainly was not what I wanted. This car really struggles anyway, and even, the tiniest bit of front wing damage on this game really does cost you in terms of pace there. But Carlos Sainz runs wide through the next corner there, completely parks it in front of Kvyat. So I'm going to say, you know, a little bit of a ragey move up the inside there. You know, really was quite annoyed that Kvyat did that. But he's going to hold it down the inside through the next corner. Just about gives me the room on the exit there as we come down in towards the Singapore sling. But yeah, Kvyat holds on to P10 for now there. So overall, we've made up one position off that start, which probably isn't too bad in the grand scheme of things, jumping Romain Grosjean there. But already, by lap 2 of the race, we were already struggling for pace here. You can see Kvyat already starting to make a little bit of a breakaway there. And obviously, that was sort of an element of, you know, being on this harder compounded tyres. But I was really struggling, you know, to keep the car turning in to the corners here. You know, just with that little bit of front wing damage, you still try and go in with all the confidence, and you know, it just will not work out for me there. But you can see coming down this long, well, I say back straight, sort of a bit of a kink as well. Grosjean sends one down the inside there. We're going to go for a cheeky bit of a switchback move there, lose the back end ever so slightly on the exit of the corner, but we try and hold it right around the outside once more there. Romain Grosjean parks it on the apex there. We'll have the inside for the next corner there, just about give Romain the room on the exit there, and now he's going to have a much better run down towards the Singapore sling. Kimi Räikkönen makes it 3 wide though. That's certainly not what we wanted to happen there. Räikkönen very reckless with that attempted move. You know, he cut the corner, bounced over the curves, completely punted me into Romain Grosjean there, and he's really felt the short straw from that move there. But Räikkönen, yeah, you know, get the job done, to say the least, by him. You know, he's absolutely bolted since he made that move. You know, he really needs to try and score some good points for Ferrari there. But yeah, that was a little bit of a risky move, I think, to say the least there. Completely chucked his car up the inside, really where he shouldn't have there. But coming through the final corner to finish that 2, and we're actually going to dive it into the pit lane here. Go for a bit of an alternate strategy here. We're still going to make one more pit stop after this one in the Grand Prix, but we're just going to try and hope, you know, clear air kind of give me a nice big advantage here. So we're going to move on, change the front wing, get a new set of the ultra soft tyres on the car here, and now just try and grind out, you know, some quick laps in this race. Van Dorn is the car ahead of me there, so, you know, we have got quite a good benchmark in my teammate here. So, you know, hopefully we shall wait and see how well that does happen for myself. And already by the end of lap 3, we've had our first retirement there. Pascal Wehrlein in the wall in the final few corners there. I think that was an engine failure for poor old Pascal there. And now coming through the final corner of lap 8 of the Grand Prix. And the first few drivers are already starting to make their pit stops here. Daniel Ricciardo dives in, as well as Danny Kvyat there. So the Toro Rosso ahead of the Red Bull, certainly not what Daniel Ricciardo needs in the Grand Prix there. But we're making up a few good positions there. And Kvyat was actually ahead of me before we made, you know, before we made our pit stop there. So it looks to the moment that we've actually been able to gain a little bit out of this. As we can see next up, Marcus Ericsson there actually retired as well from the Grand Prix in the other Sauber car there. So 2 engine failures in the first 10 laps for Sauber. Certainly not what they would have wanted in the Grand Prix there. But yeah, as we come through the final couple of corners of lap 9, these next couple of laps are mainly just going to be seen, you know, where we do come out relative to the rest of the field there. Stoffel, my teammate, does dive it into the pit lane there as well. And you can see there's a huge train of cars in the pits there, and we're going to be already looking up into what, P11 of the Grand Prix there. So this is looking actually like it probably has benefited myself quite a bit in the early stages of this Grand Prix. We will struggle towards the end, obviously, with the tyre wear here, but you know, if we can just try and keep the pace up at the moment, this was actually looking like it paid off quite well for myself. Kvyat's still, you know, a second on behind me here, so you know, if we could try, as I said, keep up the pace, you know, we could actually, you know, be looking like we could score points from really, you know, after that start. It was looking highly unlikely for myself. But through the final corner of lap 11 here, we're actually going to make even more positions up, and now we're already up into P8 of the Grand Prix. So now, you know, we've got a bit of fallback as well to my points paying position here, and this is, you know, this first stint of the Grand Prix absolutely crucial, as I said, and you know, it seems to have actually paid off. Lap 11 of the Grand Prix, you know, everyone else was probably going to make one more stop as well as myself here, and you know, this was looking like it could actually be quite a good little scrap. You know, it wasn't going to be much of a fight on track, although as soon as I say that, Danny Kvyat going to try and look around the outside there, we just shut the door on at that move. It was looking more like it was going to be a battle, you know, over trying to get, you know, as much clear air as possible. And as we dive it into the pits on the end of lap 12, they're using all the curbing on the outside of the pit lane there, just about get the car slowed down. We're now going to move on to a set of the super soft tyres here. Just hope that they last right through to the very end of the Grand Prix. 18 laps to do so. These ultra softs lasted, you know, a good sort of 11-12 without too much wear there. We actually had to change the front wing once more, as I did dink it at one point during that stint there. But we're going to come out of the pits behind my teammates Stoffel and Roman Grosjean there. A little bit unfortunate they're down in P18 of the race there as we exit the pit lane, though. It's going to be absolutely crucial that over these next few laps we do try and push as much as possible. And the first man on the old hit list was Stoffel Van Dorn here. Actually, he was a bit oddly defensive on me there. Really, not too much of a fan of that. We're quite clearly the quicker car at this moment in time during the Grand Prix there. So, a little bit annoyed that Stoffel was defending like that. As well as I think there's actually, now I don't know this for sure, I think there is actually a glitch. There was originally a glitch where the McLaren Honda, the engine upgrades wouldn't do anything. And now, from what I gather, there's a glitch where it still won't do anything for my teammate there. So Stoffel, unfortunately, the pace that he's lacking relative to myself over these last few Grand Prix are really not actually representative of, how well he's actually, how quick he actually is. He's probably losing, sort of a good 7-8 tenths a second a lap, just where we've got that bit more power, that bit more consistency in the engine there. So really not ideal, for the constructors' standings. But at the moment, we're carrying that as well. But Roman Grosjean now dives into the pit lane on the end of lap 19 here. So the AI, they're only going to be going sort of 10, 11 laps on this final stint of the Grand Prix there. And this is really, really not ideal for myself. These guys are going to have half as worn tyres as myself here. So this is looking harder and harder. The mountain's getting even bigger and bigger. But you can see coming through the end of lap 20 there, and we're already now back up into the points of this Grand Prix. So we can get back up to P8. This would probably actually, still be looking quite strong for myself. We had Lance Stroll behind me there, but a huge gap behind me overall on the track. You can see already, the AI ahead, the AI behind, a good sort of 10-15 seconds back from myself here. So we've got a bit of time that we could potentially lose, but unfortunately, that time that we were going to be able to potentially lose, that gap is going to be completely filled by Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz there. Really not what I needed in this Grand Prix. As you can see, Esteban Ocon, I think, is actually still near those two there. But Daniel Ricciardo now has exited the pit lane here, and he's, got 9 laps to go. And about a 15-second gap, probably a little bit less than that, to myself here. And already, just 5 laps later, there was really not going to be too much we were going to be able to do about this. I go defensive in through the end of the long straight there, just squeeze him out wide on the exit of the corner here. And I'm really, I want to try and fight for this position, but, if he does end up making the move stick, then there's probably not going to be much I'm going to be able to do in this situation. 4 laps to go in this Grand Prix here, and, just 2 bonus points would, mean absolutely everything to myself at the moment. We try and defend as much as we can down in towards the Singapore sling there, and Daniel Ricciardo, he's just biding his time. He's got so much of a quicker car than myself. He can just wait until we get to, any sort of straight, any mistake that I make, he's probably got the only car that's stronger in every possible aspect than myself. And unfortunately, 1 lap later, he does dive it around the outside there. I'm going to dive it back up the inside, though, into the next corner there. Squeeze him out wide, lose the back end ever so slightly. He just about gives me the room on the exit of the corner there. Side by side through the next couple of corners here. And Daniel Ricciardo, he's just about going to be able to hold it right around the outside there. Incredible move by the Australian there to move up into P8 of the race there. And that was absolutely critical for him, to get past me, not lose too much time behind me here. As we come through the next couple of corners, we lose the back end, dink the wall on the rear wheel there. And that was certainly not what we needed in the Grand Prix. Now have to do a 3-point turn, get the car back out there. And now Esteban Ocon is all over the back of me here, and from going from just about fighting, for sort of 4 points in this Grand Prix, I'm not willing to lose out on any more in this race. Esteban Ocon, though, with that Force India, he's going to have a look right around my outside, down in towards this next big braking zone here. As you see, I just squeezed him out wide on the exit of the corner there, and he actually lost out quite a bit of time from that, which in the end, actually gave me a little bit of breathing space there that I probably really needed, because, if that Force India got too close to me through these final couple of laps of the Grand Prix, there was going to be absolutely no chance that I was going to be able to defend from that down the, the straights around this circuit there. But coming through the final few corners of the Grand Prix, the fireworks are absolutely everywhere there. As Valtteri Bottas actually came through to win the Grand Prix after a few reliability issues over the last few races. He'll be very happy to take home the full 25 points there. But through down into the final corner of the Grand Prix, we are going to come through P9 in the end after a very alternate strategy there. It's very happy, we were able to make up positions in the Singapore Grand Prix.
Brilliant stuff from Mercedes today. That's another historic win. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
Well, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
Well, this is it. This is where they all want to be. Here come the top three then, out onto the podium after a fascinating Grand Prix. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the drivers'
So Valtteri
championship.
Bottas
It
does
wasn't
therefore
the best
come through
weekend
to
for
win
our
the
championship
Singapore
leader,
Grand
and
Prix.
their
Sebastian
advantage at
Vettel
the
in the
top has
Ferrari,
been reduced.
very,
Now
very
then,
close
Anthony
behind him
Davidson,
there, with
who
Lewis
was your
Hamilton
driver of the
rounding
day?
out the podium
I
there.
think
Max
it's gotta be
Verstappen,
Kimi
unfortunate
Räikkönen.
to miss
He's not
out.
always
Kimi Räikkönen,
spectacular, but
after that
he gets
very,
the job
very
done,
aggressive
and
move
that's the
early
case
on, does
today.
come through
On to the
to finish
constructors then.
P5
The lead at
overall
the
in
top
that race.
comes
Sergio
down
Pro
after a
6th,
strong
Felipe Massa
weekend from
in
the
7th,
challenging
Ricciardo
pack.
8th, myself in
After
9th,
all this
and
drama,
Esteban
you'd be
Ocon
mad
in
not to join us
P10
for
there.
the
Carlos
next
Sainz,
race.
Stroll
We hope to
and
see you
Magnussen
then.
just
Take
missing
care.
out overall there, but very, very happy to, you know, take home 2 points in at that race. You know, keep on keeping the, you know, the championship tally ticking over there. Stoffel, my teammate, the last of the finishers there, and now having a look overall at the driver standings, not too much change. Bottas does jump Ricciardo after that good result, but Hamilton still has a 12-point lead over Seb in the driver's standings there. That gap has come down ever so slightly after that race, but it's looking more and more like a two-horse race to win this title there. And in the constructors, we are now just 1 point behind Toro Rosso there, so looking very, very tight for us in the constructors standings, and the potential, you know, to still get the top 10 overall in the drivers. Yeah, but thank you all so much for watching this video. Hopefully, you know, you guys have enjoyed. If you did, do not forget to hit that subscribe button as well, like the video as well. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time for the Japanese Grand Prix.